out of the receiver's hands.
Hey, listen, I'm the first one to admit that these things can be very much overblown. I think the arm strength sometimes, Jamarcus Russell was the greatest example. I'll probably never see a pro day workout better than that. And I think Teddy Bridgewater was the worst one I've ever seen. And at that point, people were talking about, well, this guy can't play. What's wrong with him? And we saw the results with both of those guys. But when you talk about accuracy, that's the most important part of playing this position. And I know there's no defense. I know he's not in pads. But showing here that he can throw the ball and place it wherever he wants in the rain and do it when he's getting the ball out early, it's really impressive. It's hard not to be impressed.
It is, but you talk about Jamarcus Russell. The one thing about Sam Darnold is the film matches the workout.
Yep.
And if the workout doesn't match the film, you stay far away from that guy, because we've seen workout warriors. We've seen T-shirt All-Americans. We've seen those guys. But if you put in the tape, and I talked to several coaches here, scouts, general managers, if you put in the tape, it jumps out at you. The one thing that he has to correct is the turnovers.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that when you're trying to do too much as a young quarterback, sometimes it comes back to bite you.
And listen, with Matt Ryan, we said the same thing about him. We said the same thing about Andrew Luck. You can go back in history. There's a lot of guys have had, even Deshaun Watson. We talked about Deshaun Watson with the mistakes. And sometimes it's because you're trying to be a playmaker and force things. Sometimes it's because your supporting cast isn't all that good, like was the case with Matt Ryan. And this year, his supporting cast, let's be honest, was nowhere near the cast that he had a year before when they reeled off 9 straight wins. And he started forcing things. But we're seeing today, and we saw not flashes, but we saw sustained portions of the season this year where you saw the real Sam Darnold. I think this kid's the best quarterback in the draft. I don't think there's any question about it. I think some other guys can do some really good things, but to me, Sam Darnold is the guy, and I'll be really surprised come the first night of the draft if the Browns don't select him.
Todd,
well,
we're going to jump in here. We're going to jump in here with you guys from Bristol.
Yeah.
And Todd, I was just wondering, I mean, this is a small sample, but what did you see just in regard to, we know he's worked on his mechanics, maybe any difference in his mechanics from what you saw throughout the season to right now?
Nothing with the arm delivery. Mostly just he's keeping a good base. You can see how focused he is on being balanced. And sometimes when I watch the tape, one of two things happen. He either forces a throw because they're behind and they're in comeback mode, or he's gotten a little sloppy with his footwork. And it starts with that base, how you're lined up and how structurally sound you are. Are you too narrow? Are you falling off? He today, it's very obvious he's been working on that base to get himself into a sound position to throw the football. And if it starts in a sound position, then you got a really good chance to place the ball where you want.
And Jordan
and
just
it's very
flipped the
difficult,
field.
Susie.
Yeah, go ahead, Keyshawn.
I was going to say it's very difficult to work on things during the season when you have the off season, getting ready for your pro day, and all of the things that Todd is talking about with his balance and his base. He can certainly correct that, which he's done, and he's displaying his talent out on the field for us now.
Yeah, and as I was saying, Jordan just flipped the field, and I'm wondering what is it we should be looking for here, because we know one of the things we wanted to see from him today, too, is deep ball accuracy.
Well, I think he went behind me, it looks like, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, Jeff, because you're the guy with the weather report. It seems as though the wind, a little bit of wind is picked up, and they want to see if it's going east to west, if I'm correct here.
No, I was noticing the wind as well. Not a weatherman myself, but I mean, these couldn't really be worse conditions for Sam to be throwing in, and quite frankly, it still doesn't look like it's impacted him at all.
And I know on television, looking at it, you can't really see how hard it's coming down, but it's coming down pretty good.
This track is flooded.
Yeah, it's flooded right now.
It's like training camp in Florida weather, Keyshawn.
Yeah, hey guys, if you go back
a
couple of years, the private workout for Jared Goff with the Rams happened in the pouring rain. And that's one of the things that won him the job and won him the top overall pick, because they watched him handle the ball. Passes were still on target. That if he comes through this, we'll always talk about this and remember this, was the adversity that Tim Darnold had to face on his pro day.
Well, I tell you what, if this is the only adversity people have to face, then I like it. If I'm facing a little bit of rain in Southern California throwing to my guys, I think I'm okay with that. And we've seen him miss some passes. I think the guys have talked a little bit and missed a couple of these passes. We've had some seams that were thrown behind some guys. There was a press out that sailed out of bounds. I think, though, we know, even without paying attention today, you know that he has the arm strength. You know he's going to fix the certain mechanical things that he thinks people need to see. I was at Brian Bennett's pro day who was a transfer from Oregon to Southeastern Louisiana, and that was run by Jordan Palmer too. He does an amazing job at putting these quarterbacks in the best position to succeed. I think Keyshawn made a great point that it's about what do you get from him as a leader? What do you get from him as far as an intelligence standpoint and football IQ and understanding when you meet with him? That's what's going to be important for Sam Darnold. The reason he came into the year, as many projected to be the Heisman winner, the top overall pick, was because we knew he had those talents. And Adam spoke earlier about him presumptively being the #1 pick going into it now. It's because we're not sure about any of the other guys. With the way that Sam Darnold played this year, if there was a guy that stepped to the plate and said, you know what, I'm better than Sam Darnold. You know what, I can do some things that he can't, we'd pick him. We're still not sure about him, and today's not going to show it.
The interviews are such an important part of this whole process because he's been described as low-key, a little bit more of an introvert, but listening to USC head coach Clay Helton just earlier today, he talked about his leadership behind the scenes, how he set the tone for the team, and to quote him, the best one-on-one leader I've ever seen. That you may not be one of these stand up in front of the team rah-rah guys, but when it comes to talking to your wide receivers, pulling each guy aside, what you need, how you can get better, Helton insisted he's never seen better than that.
Which I think is really in the post-combine evaluation phase is probably the most important thing, Susie, because these situations, look, do you remember when Paxton Lynch didn't work out in adverse conditions, but Paxton Lynch's workout was also pretty good. And people were going, man, look how big he is. Man, look how athletic he is outside the pocket. Look how he throws that football. Well, you know what? Guys can work on mechanics all they want in a situation like this, and it looks perfect. It's a little different when someone just ear holds you.
Absolutely. And
you're in pads, and then you got to get back and do it again.
Absolutely.
And it's 2-minute situation, and you're tired, and you're trying to, call them. Those are the things that, for Sam Darnold, if we really spin this thing forward, and you mentioned Jared Goff, right? And that's what made the difference. What really has made the difference with Jared Goff?
Coaching.
How he's being coached in his relationship, right?
Coaching.
That is what, for all these quarterbacks, we can sit here and guess and spin and guess and how he's going to look. Tell me where he goes, who's coaching him, who's around him, and I'll tell you how good he'll be.
And we can go through history and look at every quarterback, and that is the case with everybody. When Achilles Smith went where he did, who knows what would have happened to Achilles Smith if he had been drafted into a program that coached him upright rather than the Cincinnati Bengals.
Or if Ben Roethlisberger went to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
I mean, Ben goes into Pittsburgh, it's perfect. We have the bus, we can run the football, we have a top 5 defense.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
There's a reason that the Cleveland Browns have had 22 different starting quarterbacks with Joe Thomas playing left tackle. 22 different. They have cycled through them.
That's an incredible number.
Okay. It wasn't because he wasn't protecting them, I tell you that.
Okay, 22.
Yeah, because he was balling.
It's going to be 23 come opening day with Tyrod Taylor and the quarterback that goes to Cleveland. And again, we'll operate under the assumption right now that Sam Darnold is the favorite, has time to grow because they don't have to rush him with Tyrod Taylor there. So Sam Darnold, or the quarterback that's picked at #1, doesn't have to be hurried along, which is exactly what I think most front offices want to do with their quarterback.
Most pro days are designed for perfection. We've seen some balls hit the ground. Some of it can be the receiver. Some of it can be the rain. Keyshawn mentioned he doesn't have one of his top targets working out, which I believe was more of a last-minute surprise that he wasn't going to have Dante Burnett as one of his receivers today. But accuracy was never really an issue here. That we could say, even if you see some balls hit the ground, not a problem today.
Absolutely. No, he can throw the ball. He can place the ball. We've watched him make all the throws. We've watched him make throws on the move. And earlier they talked about Andrew Luck and his interceptions in college. Also, Matt Ryan had an interception problem in college. And this is what I'll say. It doesn't stop either one of those guys from being successful and showing the talent that they have. But we have seen those turnover woes for both of those guys. Guys who have turned the ball over in college in their last years and have seasons where turnovers plague their team and their offenses from being what they could be. We saw that with Atlanta and decision-making with Matt Ryan this year. The years he doesn't have it, they excel. This year, they didn't. So that's still something you have to evaluate as an offense coordinator, as a head coach, when you're looking at Sam Darnold being your quarterback. Although that throw right there was pretty darn impressive.
It was. and I'll tell you what, look, Jordan's putting him in some seriously difficult situations here as far as how long these routes are taking to develop, all the movement that he's making him do behind the line of scrimmage before he throws it. And these routes are long developing routes down the field, which, quite honestly, that was one of my biggest questions, Ryan, about him on tape was the consistency of him laying balls out over the top of a wide receiver's shoulder and putting it in a nice catch and run situation. So I didn't think he always did that. Now, he should be doing it here. I mean, he's launching some bombs.
Well, he can sling it now.
So, I mean, this is not – it's good to see him doing this. But again, as much as we like this kind of thing because it's all part of the draft run-up and part of the process, we know when they put pads on your shoulders and you strap on your helmet and the pass rush and all, whoever takes him, just make sure you have a very good plan for him.
It looks like
he's done.
It's a wrap.
And he looks pretty happy with the performance, doesn't he?
Well, he was smiling through the whole thing. He knows what he can do. When I was at the Arizona State game and they had beat Washington, they had beaten Oregon. It was a huge game for them. Sam Bradford steps up in the pocket and throws the ball downfield, and pretty much everyone in the stadium knew it was over at that point because they knew USC had a guy physically more talented than anyone on the sidelines for Arizona State. I don't think those things have been the question, but when you know he's immensely talented as he is, you start to wonder why the 22 turnovers, why the 13 interceptions, why didn't you make this team who we're saying didn't have the people that you had the year before, but they're still USC.
Sure.
They're still 4 and 5 stars. Why didn't you elevate their play the way we're going to need you to elevate the play of the Cleveland Browns if that's the team that gets you?
Notice the quick hug there from Hugh Jackson?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Holding the #1 pick?
Yeah. Yep. Potentially
some of the
number
future.
1 overall pick of the 2018 NFL draft. And
that was the one coach I saw come over and give him a hug.
I'll button it up with this from Jordan Palmer, who scripted this workout. He said this is a quarterback who can create time and space, and for today's NFL,
that's what you want.
That should be at the top of the list. Ahead on NFL Live, more coverage from Sam Darnold's Pro Day. What did he want to prove? We'll look forward to hearing from the potential #1